So you're thinking about a career where you could really make a difference in a young person's life.
Yeah.
Like really change their whole trajectory.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Okay, now that is what I call a meaningful career move.
for sure.
We are diving deep into the world of a residential home young people care worker. And trust me,
Okay.
this is not your average babysitting gig.
Interesting.
We've got some great insights from RoleCatcher to kind of guide us along the way.
Awesome. I'm excited to jump in.
Me too.
What's so fascinating about this is that I think it really challenges
Okay.
the preconceived notions that people might have
Yeah.
when they hear that title.
Right.
They might think, oh,
Right.
just basic care.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that.
It's really about empowering these young people
Holy.
who are going through a lot,
Yeah,
often facing some really tough challenges,
absolutely.
and helping them to build a future for themselves.
It is, and you're right. It's about so much more than just, the practical stuff. It's not just making sure everyone is, fed, tucked in at night.
Right.
It's about equipping them with the skills
Yes.
they need to navigate all of life's challenges.
Absolutely. Like school relationships.
Yeah.
Just figuring out who they are as individuals.
Figuring out who they are, exactly.
And you know what else I thought was really interesting that RoleCatcher highlighted?
What's that?
Was the diversity of the work environments.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we're talking schools, residential treatment centers, even clinics.
That's right. You could find yourself working one-on-one with a young person
right.
or in a group setting.
Wow.
Really depends on the needs of the young people you're working with
Interesting.
and the setting you're in.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's a field that's always changing.
Oh, really?
One of the things that really stuck out to me in the RoleCatcher material
Okay.
was the focus on evidence-based practices.
Okay, so explain that. What
Okay.
does that mean?
So basically, it means that they're not just relying on tradition or, gut feelings.
Uh-huh.
They're really looking at the research
Okay.
to figure out what actually works.
So it's not just going with your gut.
Right.
It's about using strategies that have been proven effective.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
What does that look like in action, though?
So they could be anything from using
Yeah.
a specific behavioral management program that's been proven effective
Okay.
or incorporating therapies
Yeah.
that have been shown to help with certain conditions.
Okay.
The key is that they're grounding their approach in science
Cool.
and data,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
not just anecdotal evidence.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Now I have to ask about something else RoleCatcher mentioned.
Okay.
Trauma-informed care.
Yes,
It sounds important,
it is.
but I'll admit I'm not entirely sure what it means
Yeah, it's a good question.
in this context.
It's crucial in this line of work.
Okay.
Trauma-informed care essentially means understanding that a young person's behavior might be rooted in some past trauma,
Oh, wow.
whether it's abuse,
Yeah.
neglect, or even witnessing violence.
So instead of just seeing a kid acting out,
Right.
you're trying to understand the why behind the behavior.
Exactly. It's about shifting that perspective from what's wrong with you
Wow.
to what happened to you.
That's a huge difference.
It is a huge difference.
Wow.
And it changes how you approach the situation.
Completely.
Instead of punishing outbursts or challenging behaviors,
Yeah.
you're helping them to develop healthy coping mechanisms
Right.
to address those root causes of their struggles.
That's really powerful stuff.
It is.
That is really powerful stuff.
It is a lot.
It sounds like this job requires
Yeah.
a ton of empathy and understanding.
Absolutely.
And, RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from that.
No, they don't.
They talk about the emotional toll that
Right.
this kind of work can take.
Right, because you're constantly navigating these
Yeah.
really intense situations. You're dealing with behaviors
Yeah.
that stem from
Yeah.
really deep-seated pain.
Oh, wow.
But on the flip side,
Yeah.
you have this incredible privilege
Yeah.
of being a source of support
Ah.
and stability for these young people.
It's not just a job.
No,
It's a chance to really make a difference.
you are investing in the future
Wow.
of these young people.
Wow.
And that is pretty amazing.
That's incredible.
It is.
And RoleCatcher also mentioned something that really resonated with me,
Okay.
and that was the personal growth aspect.
Oh, absolutely.
It seems like this career path wouldn't just change the lives
Right.
of the young people that you're working with, but
Right.
also your own life as well.
Oh, for sure, because you are constantly learning.
Wow.
You're adapting.
Yeah.
You're developing new skills all the time.
So interesting.
You're really challenged to confront your own biases,
Wow.
your own preconceived notions about things.
Okay.
And you gain a really deep
Yeah.
understanding of human resilience.
Mm. Oh, wow.
and the power of connection.
So you're walking alongside them on their journey.
Yeah.
You're also on a journey of your own.
That's a really beautiful way to put it.
Okay, so let's get practical for a second.
Oh,
What about career progression?
okay.
Is this a field where you can kind of climb the ladder, so to speak?
Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
One of the things I found really encouraging in the RoleCatcher material
Okay.
was that emphasis on career development.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So starting out as a residential home young people care worker doesn't mean
Okay.
that you're stuck there forever.
Okay.
There are opportunities to move up.
So you're saying there are opportunities to level up.
Big time. You can become a senior care worker.
Okay.
You could become a supervisor.
Cool.
You could even become a program director,
Wow.
overseeing the entire operation.
That's incredible.
It is. And you can specialize too.
Oh, yeah, they did mention specializations.
Right.
Do you remember any that stood out to you?
Yeah. Well, one that's super important right now
Okay.
is supporting young adults with autism
Okay.
as they transition into independent living.
Wow. That's huge.
It is a huge need right now.
Wow.
Imagine helping someone land their first job
Yeah.
or find their own apartment.
Wow.
That's the kind of impact you can have.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And there are other specializations too.
Like what?
Trauma-informed care,
Okay.
substance abuse treatment,
Wow.
even art therapy.
Oh, cool.
You can really find your niche
Yeah.
and become an expert in a certain area.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's amazing to hear that there's so much room for growth
Yeah.
within this field.
There is.
Now, let's say someone's listening and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, this all sounds incredible,
Right.
but how do I even get started?
Mm.
What does that path look like to becoming a residential home young people care worker?
Right.
Do you need a PhD to even think about applying?
You absolutely do not need a PhD.
Right.
RoleCatcher actually highlights that a high school diploma is often enough
Really?
to get your foot in the door,
Wow.
especially for entry-level positions.
Cool.
Of course, having some additional certifications
Yeah.
can give you a major advantage.
So if you're just starting out, maybe look into
Exactly.
certifications that align with this line of work.
Things like first aid, CPR, safeguarding training,
Right.
those are all super valuable.
Okay.
And then there are more specialized certifications,
Yeah.
like nonviolent crisis intervention,
Okay.
that can really make you stand out.
Interesting.
That certification teaches you how to de-escalate challenging situations
Oh, wow.
safely and effectively,
That's important.
which is huge in this field.
It shows potential employers
Yes.
that you are serious about safety
Exactly.
and that you have the skills to handle those difficult situations.
Absolutely.
And speaking of skills,
Yeah.
RoleCatcher dives into
You do.
some core abilities that make a residential home young people care worker truly exceptional.
Right, and they don't just list them out like a boring textbook. They really bring it to life.
They totally do. Like, for example, instead of just saying
Right.
communication is important,
Right.
they paint this picture.
Yeah.
Imagine a teenager refusing to go to school.
Okay, yeah.
How do you, as a care worker, figure out what's really going on
Right.
and communicate with them in a way that resonates and gets through?
That's the real work.
That's the real work, and that's the kind of scenario that RoleCatcher presents,
I love that.
which I think is so helpful
Yeah.
for someone considering this path.
Absolutely, because it's not just about the practical stuff.
Right.
It's about understanding the young person
Yeah.
that you're working with,
Yeah.
and that requires active listening.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Okay.
So being a good listener is key.
Yes, active listening meaning you're not just hearing the words,
Right.
but you're trying to understand the emotion,
Right.
the needs
Right.
behind those words.
So you're not just listening to respond, you're listening to understand.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
So important.
What other skills are really crucial in this line of work?
Well, they talk about social perceptiveness.
Okay, break that down for me.
Okay.
What does social perceptiveness even mean?
So basically, it's the ability to read a room.
Okay.
Or in this case,
Yeah.
read a teenager.
Got it. Okay.
Being able to pick up on those subtle cues,
Okay.
understanding unspoken communication,
Wow.
and then adjusting your approach based on what you're sensing.
So it's like being tuned in to their body language,
Yeah.
their tone of voice,
Yes.
even their energy.
Their energy, exactly.
Because sometimes what they're saying
Right.
and what they're feeling are two totally different things.
Totally different, and you need to be able to recognize that
Wow.
and respond accordingly.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Now, aside from those interpersonal skills,
Yeah.
what about knowledge?
Okay.
Are there certain areas of knowledge that are especially helpful
Absolutely.
in this role?
So having a solid understanding of psychology,
Okay.
counseling techniques,
No.
and even educational principles
Interesting.
can be really, really beneficial.
So it's not just about being a friend or a
No.
mentor.
Just more than that
It's about having that professional foundation.
to draw from.
Because you're working with young minds.
That's right.
Understanding how they learn how trauma can manifest
Right.
in different ways, how to best support their emotional well-being.
Right.
That's all really important.
That's huge.
It is.
Yeah. And it's not always about the grand gestures,
Mhm.
It's about creating that
Right.
safe space.
Creating that container
Yes.
where they feel safe
Exact.
to heal and grow.
Okay. So we've talked about skills,
Yeah.
knowledge,
Yes.
the emotional demands of this job.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about something a little less heavy,
Okay.
the interview process.
Oh, good.
Because let's face it, getting the job is step one.
Right, right.
And RoleCatcher had some really insightful tips
Yep, you did.
in this area. What stood out to you? I appreciated that they really emphasized
Okay.
showcasing those core skills.
Oh.
It's not enough to just say, I'm a good listener,
Right.
or I'm a very empathetic person.
Right.
You've got to back it up.
Oh, wow.
You've got to give examples.
So it's all about giving those concrete examples.
Concrete examples, exactly.
Interesting.
So be prepared for questions
Yeah.
that really dig into your experiences.
Okay.
How have you handled challenging behaviors in the past?
Oh, wow.
How would you de-escalate a situation?
Right.
How would you approach building trust
Right.
with a young person who's really resistant
Wow.
to engaging with you?
That's a tough one.
It is tough.
Wow.
So be ready to really talk about your thought process,
Okay.
how you approach problem solving,
All right.
how you make decisions
Got it.
when you're faced with these difficult situations.
Don't just tell them.
Right.
Show them.
Show them exactly.
Now, is there anything in the material that you found particularly surprising? You know what? Or that you think potential applicants should be prepared for?
I think just that increasing emphasis on technology
Oh, yeah.
in this field,
Okay.
because human connection is always going to be at the heart of this work.
Right.
But technology is playing an increasingly important role.
That's a good point.
It's not just telehealth or virtual reality.
Yeah.
Think about data tracking and analysis.
That's true.
That's a big part of it now.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Technology can provide valuable insights into a young person's progress,
Exactly.
which can then inform treatment plans
Exactly.
and interventions.
It all ties together.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so being tech savvy
Okay.
and comfortable working with data
Yeah.
could become increasingly important in this field.
Wow. So it's not your average social work anymore.
No,
Things are evolving.
things are evolving.
It's like you always say,
What's that?
the world is changing.
Yes, it is.
And the ways that we approach care need to change right along with it.
100%.
So true. We've got to be willing to adapt, right?
We do. We do.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
there's one more thing I want to touch on that RoleCatcher mentioned,
Yeah.
and that's the ethical dilemmas
Right.
that often come with the territory in this line of work.
Yeah, you're dealing with
Uh-huh.
a lot of complex situations
Yeah,
with young people's lives at stake.
right,
And sometimes there's not a clear-cut
right.
right or wrong answer.
Give me an example, like what kind of ethical challenges
Sure.
might a residential home young people care worker encounter?
So imagine a situation where
Yeah.
a young person wants to run away from the facility.
Okay.
They are adamant about leaving,
Oh,
but,
Right.
it's not safe for them to be out on their own.
wow.
So how do you balance
Oh my God.
their desire for independence
Right,
with their well-being?
right.
Or let's say a teenager confides in you about something illegal that they're involved in.
Wow.
You want to maintain that trust,
Right.
but you also have a legal and ethical obligation
Yeah.
to report certain things.
That's a tough one.
Those are the kinds of judgment calls you might have to make.
It's heavy stuff.
It is.
You've really got to be able to think on your feet
Yeah.
and make those judgment calls in
Yeah.
these incredibly sensitive situations,
Absolutely.
always keeping that young person's
Right.
best interest at heart.
At the forefront.
Right. Did RoleCatcher offer any guidance
Yeah.
on how to navigate those really murky waters?
They really emphasize communication
Okay.
with your team
Right.
and supervisors.
It's about having that support system in place
It is, because you don't have to figure this out on your own.
and knowing when to ask for help.
Exactly.
You're not in this alone.
You're not in it alone.
Right.
You're part of a team.
You're part of a team.
And leaning on each other's expertise
Yes.
is crucial. Absolutely.
Especially when dealing
It's
with...
really ethically complex situations.
That's true.
Solid advice.
Thank you.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of a residential home, young people care worker,
Yes.
what's the key takeaway you're hoping our listener walks away with today?
I hope they walk away understanding that they could have a profound impact on young people who are facing some really tough situations.
Wow.
It's not always easy, but the rewards can be life-changing.
For both you and the young person?
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
It is.
It's about going in with your eyes wide open,
Yes.
knowing the challenges, but also embracing that incredible privilege of being a source of support and guidance during such a formative time in their life.
It is a very special thing to do.
So if you are up for the challenge
and you're ready to make a real difference, this could be the perfect career path for you.
It could be.
Awesome.
It could be.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Of course.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Yes.
Keep learning.
Keep learning.
And keep those meaningful conversations going.